Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the LAN Party Podcast, a podcast where we sit down and talk about video games. I am your host, Taylor. Joining me today, returning from episode 1, Mr. Joel is here with us today.
Hey there, long time no talk, by which I mean it's been about 24 hours.
Yeah, just about. And joining us also today for the first time on the podcast, he is one of the primary personalities on Digital Era Entertainment. You can catch their live streams at twitch.tv/digitaleratwitch. Mr. Mario Bueno is with us here tonight as well. Mario, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic, thank you. And yes, it has been so long since we have all spoken to each other. Oh man, it's been a whole, 24 hours now?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
great to be hanging with y'all again.
So the in-joke here is that the three of us at Joel, like this is all Joel's idea, like his whole project. Over on the Digital Era Twitch channel for the past few months, we have been regularly putting on radio drama adaptations of various films. All, like, the scripts and everything have all been put together by Joel. He's just gone above and beyond to put this thing together. We have a really solid cast of voice actors, both professional and non, for these programs.
Basically, I jerry-rigged a nerdy community theater group during quarantine, and our most recent show was, as of time of recording, yesterday, and it was for Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
Other programs that we have put on, we have done The Empire Striketh Back, a Shakespearean adaptation of Star Wars Episode 5.
You narrated that one, Taylor, and you did a great job with it.
Thank you. We have done various Pokemon productions. The very first one that this group did was Pokemon the Musical. That's what started this whole thing.
Yeah, this all happened because I had a really stupid idea, because I got my hands on this stupid script for this stupid musical, and I was like, well, I have to do something with it. But yeah, it's turned out to be a lot of fun, and that's basically how you and Mario got introduced, Taylor, so glad to see this continuing outside of Digital Era Entertainment and now sort of creeping over into your stuff.
Oh, very much.
It's all
connected. Hey, sorry, I've been saying that a lot even when we were about to get ready for a broadcast, so I just had to slip that in.
Hey, no, it's all good. And I'm very happy to have both of you on here tonight. So we have a very, very stacked program tonight. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about the new Xbox and PlayStation consoles. PlayStation specifically, we'll be going over the whole pre-order debacle. We'll be touching on the new Nvidia RTX 30 series and everything that's going to be bringing to the table. The Nintendo 3DS has been retired after an almost 10-year run. We will be going over Twitch's implementation and very quick removal of automatic mid-rolls. And finally, we will be probably touching very briefly on a new video game announced by Rooster Teeth, WayForward, and what was the other studio? Arc System. Arc System Works. That I am very excited for. First and foremost, let's go ahead and dive on into one of the hot topics of the week is the new GeForce RTX 30 series. The 30 series went on sale Thursday morning at, I think, what was it? 6 a.m. Pacific time? And in less than, from what I understand, in just under a minute, sold out across multiple sites. So
You'd think it was a new console itself.
exactly. Like, I've never seen this much hype and this much demand for a new GPU. Like even for something like GeForce, which has continuously pushed the boundaries of GPU hardware over the years. But the 30 series, the 3070, 80, and 90 have officially released. Good luck finding one right now. They won't be in stock again, probably for a few weeks. But like I know I'm excited for the 3070 because the price tag I saw on that, like looking at Nvidia's website, if I can find it again real quick, the 3070 I think was selling starting at like $400 or $500.
Yep, $499.
$499.
Absolute simpleton when it comes to computer hardware. That I'm computer savvy in terms of like I know how to use software, not a problem at all. Very technologically literate. I just don't know jack when it comes to hardware or graphics cards. It's just an area that I've never really bothered to invest time in. I'm sure that I could understand it if I wanted to, but it's just I've never had cause to. So I'm obviously aware of graphics cards and what they are and their uses and whatnot, but it's just never been something I've paid attention to. But holy cow, the fact that this has happened to just the amount of people I saw talking about this, that this broke into mainstream, and I've really never seen anything like it. So if one of you could sort of explain to me and just, I suppose, the layman listener in general, what makes this particular card so astounding that it caused this type of reaction? Was it that this is just a monumental increase in just horsepower, so to speak, or was their marketing campaign really good? What happened here?
There are a few. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, there's quite a few factors, but one of the more stark comparisons that I think can really frame this up, which also kind of adds, to the surprise really that it did sell out as quickly as it did. So I think it's the 3070. So it's basically one of the lower end of this new crop. Can outperform the 2080. I think it was the TI edition. So basically, like the best of the best from the most recent generation. And those cards had just come out maybe about a year ago. So again, this is very surprising when you consider how new some of those cards that these are replacing are. And these are not cheap cards. And for basically a fraction of the price, you're getting a substantial increase in terms of what this card can do. For me personally, like the reason I would focus on cards like this is for video editing purposes, especially since I work in Adobe. Though that program is mostly optimized for NVIDIA cards, especially things that have been using the CUDA encoding systems. So basically, like a type of way to use more rendering power on the card. So basically, people are getting this beast of a card for like $500 compared to a similar
NVIDIA
card.
Has just somehow just hit an innovation jump that has allowed them to create a stronger card for cheaper than the market has ever seen before. So they're hitting improvements
yes.
on both axes, and that just it is so incredibly rare, especially in a developed market, for a company to be able to create something that is stronger and cheaper at the same time. So that explains it in a nutshell. So thank you, because
Yes.
I honestly wasn't sure what was going on here, but that makes sense. That if a company is able to do something that improves on both axes there, that you're going to see that fundamental spike in demand.
Yeah, I mean, to give you an idea, I just upgraded my rig over here at DHQ, as I like to refer to it over on our channel, and I deliberately did not go with a higher powered card because I knew that this 3000 series was on the horizon. What I didn't know was how
You'd be
affordable it
fighting
was going to
for it.
be and how beastly it was going to be. So, in a weird way, I definitely did myself a favor by, throttling up just enough into the 2000 series, but staying at the lower end because I knew I would probably be swapping the card out in like 6 months to a year. And after hearing these prices, I'm like, oh my God, I'm probably going to try and grab this for the holiday season. So, yeah,
Yeah, and the
yeah, it's a
interesting
good
thing to
deal.
see now is going to be how do other companies respond, that how many are going to be able to get these and reverse engineer it to get the improvement, and just what does this do to the graphics card market as a whole? Because it, like I said, just from what you're saying, this degree of innovation doesn't come along every year.
I'm definitely
No.
curious to see how AMD and Radeon are going to respond to this because my
Yes.
streaming rig, because like my streaming rig is an AMD setup, whereas like my gaming PC is Nvidia, and I've actually checked all of my parts, and my gaming rig is already compatible with the 3070. I don't have to change anything. I can just remove the one that's in there now, plug in the 3070, and I'm good to go. Here's the
Nice.
really crazy thing, though. Nvidia have seriously outdone themselves with the 30 series, because not only are you getting significantly increased horsepower over the 20 for, as Mario said, a fraction of the cost. Am I correct in remembering, was I seeing that right? In the 30 series is actually AI assisted to increase efficiency?
My understanding is it's basically like a watered down version of I'm blanking out on the name of the technology, but it is effectively NVIDIA's AI assistance technology. Yeah, so you're basically getting a light version of that in these cards. So there's a lot of stuff under the hood.
And they're putting
It's
these out for starting at $500 MSRP, which is unheard of in this market for the type of power that they're putting out. Just it's like I've got the specs pulled up right now. The baseline card, the RTX 3070, 5,888 NVIDIA CUDA cores, boost clock of 1.73 gigahertz, 8 gigabyte memory size. Like that's just the baseline card. The 3090s, you're looking at 24 gigabytes of memory. Now, given that one's the 3090 starts at like 1500, so yeah, like that's where the price tag really starts to spike up. But like the baseline card, you're getting that much power for that low of a cost. Like I said, in this market for that kind of power, it's unheard of for it to be that affordable. And that, again, one of the main reasons why they went as quickly as they did is because they were so accessible.
And furthermore, part of why I said it was so surprising, kind of on the flip side of this whole thing, and I tend to focus on the positives, so I feel a little bit weird bringing up the negatives here.
Oh, go
Um,
for it.
among the biggest controversies, first off, was the fact that this card is essentially undercutting a card that people probably not even 6 months ago paid double or triple the price for, and it's now essentially old news. But they've also changed the power pins that are going to be required to plug into your motherboard. It's using a new type of power pin. I believe it's a 12 pin, if I'm not mistaken. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about any of this, by the way.
Let me pull it up. Let me see if I can pull that up for you real quick.
So basically, they've switched the type of pin connector, which normally would require either an adapter or a completely new motherboard. It sounds like they are providing adapters because, NVIDIA clearly does not want to completely burn their customer base, despite how the situation may seem to a salty 2080 Ti owner who just bought it like 4 months ago or less. So essentially, you also have to deal with that plus higher power consumption. So 750 watts is basically the new baseline that you need for your entire computer to be able to run these cards. Now, luckily for me, I overclocked the power in this new rig. Again, anticipating that something might come along. I didn't know any of the specs. I just was blindly guessing. and I'm at least 100 watts over that. So I'm like, okay, thank God I can actually throw in at least a 3070 into my rig and not, cook the thing. So there's a lot of concessions that kind of came into play with these new cards that, for a lot of enthusiasts who have clearly spent a lot of money or were, either like myself in a position where they had to upgrade essentially under the gun, or when they weren't ready to, or made the upgrade because they thought, oh, I've got time until the new cards come out, I'm gonna be fine. There were a lot of decisions made that were very polarizing, despite the fact that there are some huge advancements that are in fact being offered by these cards. So that's why I'm stoked, and I'm really glad that I'm going to be in a good position to be able to make that upgrade, because there are some huge performance benefits. So yeah. that's my TED talk. Thanks for coming. I'm not sponsored by Nvidia. Nvidia, please sponsor us. Please God. Please sponsor us.
Please
send us all the graphics cards.
All right. According to an article on TechRadar.com, the official specs for the RTX 3070, the ones I think that we're most concerned with here, required power connectors, one PCIe 8-pin, and the PCIe interface 4.0. So I'm not seeing anything that says anything about a 12-pin. So I think for the 3070, it's still an 8-pin.
Yeah. Okay, because I know that was a big deal for the connectors, especially in the initial leaks and initial releases that had people saying, oh, this is gonna be a thing. If you don't have this pin connector, oh, you can't buy this new card, or they're gonna ship with an adapter, blah 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 blah.
Now that might be the case.
Like, now we got you.
Yeah, that might be the case for the 80 or the 90. Like, I'm just looking at the 3070. Okay. So, like for the higher end.
What happened to me?
like for the higher end cards of this particular generation, yeah, it may require a 12-pin connection, but the 3070 at least only requires an 8.
Alrighty, there you go. So another reason why it probably would have flown off the shelf. It's like you're getting all these power boosts, and you don't have to deal with all this other nonsense that people were worried about for months.
Oh my God, I'm excited. I'm excited to get my hands on one of these. I can't wait.
I really should learn to get into this type of thing. That I feel like this is something that I just need to know, even if I don't need it now. That just it's always been something that interested me, and I guess sort of out of laziness, I've never really bothered to educate myself. But I probably should get around to that.
In your defense, it is quite the rabbit hole to go down. Like, again, I only really focus up on this like once every few years whenever I have to upgrade my rig. That's the only time I really care. And this just happened to be a year where I had to upgrade my rig, and I had the opportunity to. So it was very relevant when I was hearing that new cards were on the horizon.
Well, I'm also just an Apple pleb. That I had a MacBook for almost a decade, and about 3 months ago upgraded to a new MacBook. So I'm just very plug and play when it comes to computers. At least it just I know that my uses aren't super intense. I don't do really any sort of like video editing. That I'm doing some streaming now, but the Mac is more than capable of doing that. You don't need a graphics card for that. I don't run anything particularly intense on Steam, so that's probably also why that just my needs have never demanded that I look into this sort of thing. But I'm excited for everyone who is, into this sort of thing. That I can tell it's a really exciting and special time for people that are into this type of tech.
Yeah, and again, like you said, your needs usually don't necessitate that. So honestly, yeah, good on you. You don't really need to know this. It's just one of those things where it does come in handy for certain situations. So yeah, if you're able to do it, cool, do it. If you don't need to, or you can't, hey, that's just as good.
Also, I think quarantine might have also had to do a lot with how popular it is right now, just because so many people are just stuck in their homes with nothing better to do.
Yeah. This is definitely an extension of the webcam crisis of COVID. That just people are now really investing in their home rigs since they need to do more, or just now have the time to look into that sort of thing. And yeah.
So it's basically a perfect storm.
Hey, you mentioned the webcam crisis. My boyfriend was actually looking for a webcam a while ago, and for the life of him, could not find one anywhere. I ended up loaning him mine for a little bit.
Oh yeah, it was a huge thing in the business world, like mainstream business world, that when all the companies were going remote and Zoom was just booming, that there was a good couple of months, and I don't know if it's still the case, but that webcams in particular became a incredibly hot commodity because pretty much anyone who had an office job in the US basically had to get one all at the same time.
You needed a webcam and you needed some TP. Only one of those was actually relevant. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not.
Also, shout out to Skype for blowing a 17-year lead to Zoom.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
mean,
like Skype had already lost out to Discord several years before that.
Yeah, Discord definitely came in and slowed them down significantly, just with the versatility that Discord offered, and then Zoom just showed up, and Skype was like, "All right, peace out. I guess we're done here."
Zoom had been consuming a significant chunk of the market even beforehand. That they were the market leader before COVID by a pretty fair margin. That Skype really just over the past 5 years has declined really across the board.
That's being very polite. Google Meet basically came out in the last like 4 months and was already better than Skype has been for the last 5 years. So I'm just saying.
Google Hangouts was better than Skype.
Actually, yes. Yes, I say this unironically. Like whenever I had to do video chats with multiple people, I'll tell you what I wasn't using first for the last 5 years. It was not Skype. Hi, Google Hangouts. How you doing?
The last
F in the chat for Google Hangouts.
The only time I've ever used Skype in the past few years was last Ruby season when I was on an episode of the Boopcast, and we used Skype for Facecam and all that. But like that is the only time that I've bothered to dust it off. I think I even had to make a new account because I forgot my login when that happened. It'd been that long.
No, seems legit. Seems legit. I just hate that it is now baked into Windows and it's basically always on, and I always have to tell it, no, you stay off. I don't need you.
Oh yeah, no. I recently went into every single setting menu I could in Skype itself and in the system, and basically just had to tell it no.
Timeout.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm fixing to dive into the system files and just nuke it off my hard drive because honestly, why not?
Yeah, nuke it from orbit.
I'd never use it. Bye.
But
all right.
Anyways, back to gaming.
All right, so staying on the topic of hardware, moving from PC over to the wonderful world of consoles. Xbox announced the launch of the new Series S and Series X, both offering varying degrees of performance with, again, in the same vein of the Nvidia 30 series, surprisingly affordable price ranges, as well as the PS5 announcing the release of two variations of the next gen of PlayStation console. The only main difference with the PlayStation consoles being that one has a disc tray and one does not. So basically be the PS5 Digital Edition, which will be, I believe, coming out for $100 less than the standard PS5. So again, very affordable compared to past consoles. I think the PS5 Digital Edition is releasing for $400. Is that correct?
Yep. Digital is $400, standard's $500, Series X is $500, Series S is $300. So Series S wins for undercutting for the all-around low price. But that still doesn't have dimensions and weight available, but the other specs are still out. And I'm not sure if you've seen this tweet, but just in general, I saw someone commenting saying, whoever named the PS2 deserves retroactive pay raises and bonuses for making it so Sony's consoles are just always simple and logical, and it's just, PS1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's PS5. It's PS5 Digital Edition. It's not Xbox, Xbox One. It's not Xbox Series X, Series S. Just, it's so much easier to keep track of PlayStation stuff because they went with simple, logical numbering, and Xbox has not, and it feels like it's just getting more complex, honestly.
I will not dispute that in the slightest, because seriously.
I'll give him that.
At least Nintendo has the decency to come up with a very distinct, clear name for each of their consoles that is representative of what the console is. Xbox just sounds like, it sounds like a different Street Fighter edition,
I can see it like
Arcade
that, actually.
Perfect Xbox. Arcade Perfect Xbox.
Oh, God.
Special Super Edition.
XD.
Plus Alpha.
Platinum.
Oh God.
But no,
Yeah.
like I was so excited when I saw the price tag of the Series S, because yeah, sure, it's not as powerful as the Series X. It doesn't have the most powerful specs. I don't care. Is it an Xbox? Can it play my Xbox games? Can I hook it up to my streaming setup and stream Xbox games to twitch.tv with the Series S? Yes, I can. For the price of $300, I'm sold.
Yeah, just in general, I feel like we sort of passed the point a long time ago where the differences in graphical fidelity are really perceptible. It just, if you look at the two side by side, yes, you can tell a difference. But if you're just playing and you tell me that you can really see a true difference in just the visual quality from one to the other, I feel like you're probably lying. That it used to be that between generations, the difference would be massive. Just the number of polygons that would be able to go up. Think about the difference from N64 to GameCube, or just Xbox to 360. That's night and day. But I feel like when it went from 360 to 1 and 1 to Series X, that we're at the short end of the tail here, or rather the long end of the tail, where the difference is just incremental at best. So if you just want to get the console, I say get the cheaper one, because if it can play the games, like you said, Taylor, that's what matters.
Exactly.
And kind of piggybacking off of that, one of the things that we talk about on our Thursday esports and gaming podcast, which I'm usually just in the peanut gallery for, so this is actually kind of fun for me to finally be able to like verbalize this with words instead of just frantically mashing keys in a chat. One of the things that we really focused on coming into this period as we're about to transition into next gen has been, especially with Microsoft, the kind of transition company wide from being about the physical devices to being about the services provided. So what is effectively the most interesting offering that Microsoft has going into next gen is basically the Game Pass service, in tandem with, as Joel pointed out, this very affordable hardware, which is very turnkey. You put it all together and it just seems like, kind of a slam dunk in its own right, which is one of the biggest strengths that Microsoft has going into this new generation. I mean, obviously, the nomenclature definitely has a lot to be desired, as we were just quipping about. But in terms of raw offerings, like they really have offered a quite substantial amount, especially when you look at what the Game Pass feature actually gives you. I've been using the PC Game Pass for the last almost year now. And I can definitively say, like, there was no need for me to buy an Xbox, because a lot of the PC offerings, especially as they've expanded the program, really do carry over with a lot of the best console offerings. And for the price point, it's really great. And I say this as someone who wants to buy into PlayStation now, but can never justify it, because the entire thing, it required its own review, which I did actually do as one of the few written pieces over at our main website, digitaleraentertainment.com, comparing the Game Pass to the PlayStation Now program. It's just night and day, and PlayStation
I feel like
really
the Game
could.
Pass is the single most significant innovation in gaming of the past year, full
Yes.
stop.
And especially now that they've expanded it to mobile. oh my god. Like, do you have a compatible mobile device? Yes. Do you have something you can play games on at home? Sure. Okay, cool. You can play these games on both of them. Uh, all right. That's awesome. So you're right, Joel. Like that is basically the biggest innovation that they have had to offer, and it's such a Trojan horse, and it's genius. Um, so I'm gonna stand back because I have more Xbox thoughts to share, but I know we do need to kind of cover the PlayStation end of things. So I'll kick it back to you guys for this one.
All right, as far as like the PlayStation goes, I guess the main topic here is the whole pre-release debacle and how that was handled. And I actually saw that Sony came out and made a public statement on Twitter about that, admitting, okay, that didn't go as smoothly as it could have. We are sorry about that. Here's what we're doing to fix that.
And the
So,
thing that sort of gets me is, at least from what I can tell, it wasn't Sony's fault. It was the distributors' faults. Sony doesn't control when Walmart puts up their pre-release. Walmart does.
Yeah,
Walmart and all these other places were the ones that went basically pre-street date. They're like, I almost wonder, like, was there some agreement breached here, or was there some miscommunication? Because supposedly, even though like they had said it was going to be available on the 17th, but then it was the 16th, and obviously the 17th was not as much notice as most people would have expected. But just then on top of that, the fact that all these distributors went pre-street date on that.
yeah, I know Ken definitely was very vocal about that when talking about it this past Thursday, and he definitely is in the right here, and you are in the right about this as well, Joel. Yeah, Sony did promise one thing, and a lot of retailers essentially just kind of went rogue because they wanted to. It was the equivalent of typing first in a comment section.
Yeah,
That's
but like
basically what
usually
they
that
did.
you have things like, just embargoes or just street dates. That there would always be pictures of, okay, we got the new Pokemon game in, and it's not going to be released for another week or so, but you'll see that the boxes of them are being delivered to GameStop and says do not open until date or something like that, or a but in this case that they just totally broke street date, and it's like, aren't there usually legal repercussions for that?
I wouldn't be surprised if they've gotten a lot of angry emails from Sony.
Because just obviously Sony is the one that ultimately here has egg on their face, whether it's justified or not. But I wouldn't be surprised if behind the scenes that there's some legal recourse happening on Sony's end of them saying, all right, we're taking the fall for your mess up. You contractually, legally owe us for breach.
I'm definitely curious to see how that plays out.
My guess is that probably wouldn't end up being a public matter, but I wouldn't be surprised if behind the scenes legal departments are not very happy right now.
Oh, I would imagine not.
Not even a little bit. Yeah.
Because it was like, keeping in mind, I wasn't following the PlayStation stuff as closely just because I'm an Xbox girl, so that's what I was focused on. I knew, like, I'd heard that something went wrong with the pre-orders for the PS5. I just really wasn't entirely sure what happened. So
Yeah, so there you have it. Basically, retailers did the thing that we are used to, especially here in New York with the mom and pop shops. They broke street date just on pre-orders of a console instead of just selling you a game like a week before launch.
But it wasn't mom and pop shops; it was the big boys.
Exactly, which makes it 10 times funnier and more frustrating, I guess.
Because
simultaneously,
Sony just
it's
has
like,
to
oh,
live
that's
with it.
hilarious. Oh, this sucks. How did that happen?
And this isn't impacting a small number of consumers who are just getting theirs ahead of time. This is nobody was prepared for it, so it was just a sudden mob rush to get these. And obviously the stock's going to be low because it's a pre-order, but it couldn't even be handled in a civil way because it was just so sudden.
Sony had basically been putting up this whole thing of, oh, well, if you sign up at this site to get information about pre-orders, we're basically going to choose who among you is the most worthy to get a pre-order of the PlayStation 5.
But bottom line is they were putting in infrastructure to make it so it would be civil. That they were, and they had said you will have notice, you'll get a thing saying, all right, you won the pre-order lottery or whatever, and it just got completely undercut.
Right. And I'm just saying, like, people were already pretty upset about that whole, essentially tiered structure. So this definitely did not make it look any better. So yeah, it's just been one thing after the other for
It was
poor
not
Sony.
a good week for just ordering things online and gaming in general.
Nope.
Something I just noticed, like looking through the side-by-side comparisons of the ultimately 4 new consoles that are coming out, like the 2 different variations for each brand, that I hadn't noticed before, is that the Series S will not be coming with a disc drive. So it'll be along the lines of the PlayStation 5 Digital Edition, where it'll be digital only.
And I feel like that's sort of going to be the new norm for a while, of just a digital edition and a not digital edition.
Correct. Because you even look at the current iterations of the current gen consoles. Microsoft already went in that direction with, I believe, a series. Again, going back to the complicated name structure, the Xbox S, Xbox One S digital edition. Like they did a stripped down version that was effectively kind of a dry run for the upcoming Series S. And the fact I stumbled over that so badly goes back to the point we made before.
But this is what they deal with every day.
Yep. But yeah, so this, as Joel said, that is kind of becoming the standard. I mean, I guess this is a good point for me to interject, kind of where I'm looking to be in terms of this particular side-by-side. So I'm actually going to be doing the Xbox Series X. I had actually skipped out on Xbox this entire generation, as pointed out, especially, with PC Game Pass. But because of the way that everything kind of shook out for me personally, and funny enough, one of our hosts for the esports and gaming podcast over on our channel is actually in a very similar position as me. We're getting this as a secondary station because, currently I'm living in a place where I have, space to put stuff so I can be in a totally different room. The thing is, the room that I'm going to be putting this device in, it's basically all streaming stuff. There are no disc-based pieces out there currently, so I can essentially have a secondary station to play my Xbox 360 games, my current gen games, and also pop in a disc from the physical collection that myself and my girlfriend have. So that's kind of where the value is, as like a secondary piece that is complementary to the ecosystem I've already built out. And since I'm planning to use, again, another one of Microsoft's very clever, admittedly, programs, the All Access program, which is essentially a financing program that comes bundled with essentially a monthly Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which lets you use console, PC, mobile, etc. Yeah, that's how I'm going to be able to budget that out well, have this secondary device, but also still have access to all the cool stuff across all these different things, both at my workstation that I use for streaming and also on this secondary device. And hey, we'll be able to, pop in some of our physical discs on there. So that's cool. It just worked out. And then, PlayStation 5, I'll be honest, I'm in no rush. There are some interesting games coming out, but between the design aesthetic and also just the initial slate of games, and also some of the lack of available backwards compatibility, it's like, well, I've got my PS4 and my PS3. I'm good here for at least another year or two. So yeah, it's just it was the one that kind of had to fall to the wayside by default. So that's where I'm at personally.
And for me, I'm just here rocking my Switch. That I've always been a Nintendo diehard. That I've owned a PS2 and a PS4, but they have very much been my secondary consoles to the Nintendo console at the time. I've never owned an Xbox, and that's mostly just because of my gaming tastes versus their gaming library. That, don't get me wrong, I have nothing but respect for Xbox and Microsoft, and it really just boils down to, I personally have always enjoyed the Sony exclusives more than the Xbox exclusives, and that's not a shot at them. That's just my taste.
And that's completely fine.
Yeah.
Like the main reason that I've gone with Xbox for as long as I have is just because I'm a huge Halo fangirl.
Yeah,
So-
and the in a nutshell, my tastes are, I am crap at FPSs, and that's what Xbox specializes in.
Oh yeah.
So that's largely
Yeah.
why I'm just never bothered. That I really enjoy RPGs, platformers, puzzle games, and that's why naturally I tend towards Nintendo, and then secondarily PlayStation, and not so much Xbox. That's just not Xbox's game profile in general.
Yeah, and Lord knows they tried to diversify it. It just never really took off for them. So yeah, no, that's completely
Yeah,
fair.
for me, it's always been about exclusives.
I think Mario, you mentioned just a second ago, like the aesthetics of like the PS5. I can't help but look at it and think to myself, I don't know if either of you are going to get this. I look at the PS5 and think this is the console sent by CyberLife.
Wow. For me, the thing I always think of is, aw, PlayStation's trying to cosplay as an Alienware. How cute. Aw. And here's the thing. I almost picked up an Alienware as my new rig because I've had Alienware product before. But you see, I don't mind that when it's coming from, Alienware, because that's kind of their thing.
Yeah,
I
for me,
know.
it's just, I
yes.
look at Xbox and I see, oh, it's a literal power brick.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's exactly what it is.
First it was the big old brick, then it was the Svet brick, then it was the VCR, then it was back to kind of a cool, I'm not a PlayStation, but I'm trying to be, and now it's back to a vertical brick.
Yeah, so it's either is it a power brick or is it just a PC tower?
I mean, it
Yes.
basically is like one PC tower that I was actually looking into, to be honest with you. Yeah. So there is a comparable. I think it's a mini or micro ATX case that is comparable in shape and presumed thermals as the Xbox Series X. So yeah, you're not wrong.
And my favorite comparison for the PS5 is Seto Kaiba.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I've
The one that
seen
we had. Yeah, the one that we had, it was very region specific, but if you are from New York City or have been around New York City long enough to kind of get this, we were joking that it's like the kind of gentrification building that they would put up in like Williamsburg, Brooklyn. It's like the kind of
God.
obnoxious thing where it's like all luxury rentals and like they're basically going to gentrify the whole neighborhood with that thing. I think we actually put up a Photoshop of the PS5 in Williamsburg as our background for that week's episode. Gino just put that one together in like an hour after the whole thing launched.
Oh,
It was
no.
great. Yeah. So yeah, like again, aesthetic, I know it's a silly thing to get hung up on, but it really did kind of kill my momentum for the PS5. And knowing how soon they're probably going to do a revision, given how short the windows have been these past two generations, I'm just like, you know what? I'll just wait till they do like a PS5 Slim or whatever nonsense they come up with in like 2 years, and maybe it'll look like something that I'm okay throwing in the media console.
But hey,
like,
even when
Sony.
they do like PS3 Slim, it's still a logical naming convention.
Yeah, at least I'll be able to know what to call it for starters.
Sorry, I'm a
man.
marketing guy, so like
No,
I
it's-
don't actually care, but I always just sort of like shake my head and just think, really? Why would you do this? This feels unnecessarily complex.
And actually, to your point, Joel, that is actually the main reason why I fell out with Xbox this past generation, frankly. That E3 2013 presentation, my God, like if you want to talk about a way to just alienate your loyal fan base, because basically from the beginning of Xbox's life, I definitely gravitated towards them as my preferred console of choice. I loved what they were offering. I loved the aesthetic, and I was there for 2 solid generations. E3 2013, I felt like they were kicking me in the nuts and then expecting me to hand over my money right after that, just because of the tone deafness of the entire presentation, just the arrogance that they put out there. It was so much wrong. And then the thing looked like a freaking VCR. I'm just like, what is wrong with you people?
And then
Like,
there
you're
was the
asking
whole
us to
backwards compatibility debacle.
and forced
Like,
connect and just they literally just went through the playbook of doing it wrong, and it soured me so badly that when Sony announced the PlayStation 4,
one of
I
my
was just
favorite
like,
attack ads
pre-order,
of
we're
all
done.
time was the Sony how to loan your
Yes,
games video.
yes, that was
It
so
was
good.
15 seconds. It was the little splash screen of Sony how to share your games. It was two people. One person handed it to the other person took it. Thanks. End of video.
It was so good. It was so good because yes, like Microsoft deserved that haymaker when it came to marketing. Because again, look at what they were preaching, and Sony was just like, let's just show you how this is done. And yeah, so for last generation up until recently with the Game Pass, and of course, with the All Access and finding a legit functionality for an Xbox back in the ecosystem, that's why I'm coming back. It took an entire freaking console generation for Microsoft to kind of like get it together.
Meanwhile, Nintendo's just sitting on the sidelines being like, I don't know about you all, but I'm still, living it up here, having like three of the best five selling games of the year. I don't need to bother releasing another console for 2 or 3. Just you two fight and squabble amongst yourselves. I'll just be over here doing my thing and kicking butt at basically every turn.
I feel like this is an appropriate transition point because if you don't mind me using this as a bridge into this discussion, so I was on the outs with Nintendo since the end of the GameCube. I did not buy a Nintendo console until 2015, and that was the Nintendo new 3DS XL, which I bought because I became a dirty, dirty amiibo hunter. Because amiibo was the best thing, and I will be damned if I'm gonna buy a Wii U that I knew was absolute garbage, and they were already talking about a new console that would eventually become the Switch coming out in like 2 years anyway. So I was like, I'll just wait this one out. But hey, essentially a Game Boy brought me back to Nintendo. And Tay, would you like to take this one? Because I think I just totally set you up for like the other big news of the week.
That you did. Nintendo has officially announced that it is retiring or discontinuing the Nintendo 3DS after an impressive, like, damn near 10-year run. The 3DS has been discontinued.
Honestly, I see this as something bigger. That what happened this week was the end of a 9.5-year run for the 3DS, which is just an incredible console. I owned a 3DS for the longest time, and just its game library and its performance was always just top notch. But the bigger thing is that for the first time in 31 years and just about 2 months, Nintendo does not have a handheld console in active production.
Yeah.
The Game Boy
Oh my
was
God,
released
that's
on
interesting.
July 31st, 1989. From the Game Boy, you had the Game Boy Pocket to the Game Boy Color to the Game Boy Advance, the SP, the DS, and then the 3DS and all its various, subdivisions in those lines. But Nintendo's presence in the handheld market has been continuous since July 31st, 1989, and it ended this week. And this also essentially heralds the end of the handheld gaming era because let's face it, the handhelds were what kept Nintendo afloat in their down years. That when the
Yup.
GameCube didn't do very well, when the Wii U didn't do very well, they were just always falling back on, we've got Game Boy Advance revenue or we've got DS revenue, we're fine. that's the reason why Nintendo didn't shudder when they had some just really underwhelming consoles. And it was a case of Sony took a shot at the king and missed with the PSP. That it achieved some moderate success, but that was supposed to be them really taking a shot at Nintendo, and Nintendo just said, that's cute. Meanwhile, Microsoft, just this, technological Goliath, didn't even bother to try.
We got a Zune. Y'all
there's a Zune.
MP3s.
And just,
we got Zune in WMA format.
In all honesty, I think the only thing that ever really actually would have probably been considered like significant competition for Nintendo and their handheld just juggernaut would have been the Sega Game Gear, really near the beginning of it all. That when the market was still being developed and just all the companies were, or those two companies were trying to get their foothold in the market, that would have been really the only time that their dominance could have been challenged. And past that, it was just, we rule this entire half of the gaming market. And they still kind of have it in terms of the Switch being obviously the only console that can really be taken on the go. But this speaks to the mobile gaming market of just, smart devices and phones upending the need to have a dedicated mobile gaming device. That in a lot of ways, the Switch was their way of merging those two efforts into one. It's obviously been incredibly successful. That the Switch is just it's rolling, like I mentioned, that they have several of the top sellers for games this year and are showing no signs of slowing down. So Nintendo's totally fine amidst all this. That this retirement is not a failure. This is them saying, all right, good night, sweet prince. Thank you for your service.
Yeah. You basically encapsulated why it is such a substantial milestone. And especially with the rise of mobile, so many people were wondering, okay, what's this going to do to Nintendo? Because their big crutch has always been the portable market.
The thing is, if you think about it, mobile gaming came out over a decade ago, and they still had the 3DS and just powered through and rocked it in with unmitigated success. So this isn't them, falling by the wayside and being completely blindsided by mobile gaming. No, they were still very, very successful. They just found a better way to operate because now they themselves are on mobile. That take a look at Pokemon Masters or Mario Kart, that Nintendo is still doing mobile. They just realized, okay, we don't need to make a console ourselves anymore, so let's not.
Yeah, and again, because they're kind of hybridizing the whole experience, they are kind of evolving, the product to be the best of everything that is Nintendo. So again, it is not, a failure of one type of device. It's literally saying, thank you. You've gotten us through some tough times. You have been an innovative product in our portfolio. We just now have a way to kind of have everything.
Yeah, why bother putting in the effort to develop and support and market two consoles simultaneously when one of them can just be done for you?
Yeah. Like, that's something I didn't even really think about until you mentioned it just now, Joel, is like with the retiring of the 3DS, this is quite literally the end of an era. Now thinking of it like that, it hits a lot harder.
Yeah, it's a momentous occasion, and it's kind of a sad one in a lot of ways, especially as someone who, like I said, I'm very much a Nintendo fanboy, and I grew up always owning a Nintendo handheld. That I got my first Game Boy Color. It was the special edition yellow with the Pokemon Yellow version for my 7th birthday. And from then on, up until today, have always owned it. That I got the Nintendo Advance, the DS, and the 3DS. And it's also kind of weird to think that they only had, in technicality, 4 consoles that spanned 31 years.
It goes back.
There were iterations of the Game Boy.
Yeah.
But just the Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance, the DS, and the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
Those 4 consoles, 30 years.
This goes
and
back.
They were all good.
This goes back to the conversation you and I were having the other day, Joel, and the fact that if there's one thing that Nintendo has proved that they are good at, time and time again, it's longevity.
Yeah.
Oh,
that just-
absolutely.
and it very much just going to the beat of their own drum, that there's a great book called Nintendo Magic, which was released in like 2001. So this is a relatively old book now, but it talked about the development of Nintendo as a company, their mindset when creating consoles, and just how they approached some very fundamental business decisions, which have gone on to be just these core tenets of their success. That one big thing was the Wii was specifically designed that I don't remember who it was, but one of the executives came in and stacked 3 DVD cases on top of each other and said, our console needs to be this big or smaller because it needs to be unobtrusive. It needs to be something, quote, that mom will like. And that was part of their design impetus of just as things like the Xbox and PlayStation 2 were getting pretty massive at the time in relativity, they were like, we need to make this unobtrusive, something that a family can have, in their entertainment center, that is just a small thing that isn't an eyesore, which is very much the opposite of what you have nowadays. But even if you look at the Switch, it's pretty small.
Right now it's
Wii
literally
U,
hanging
pretty
out
small.
behind one of the TVs we have here. Like that's how unobtrusive it is. So yes to that point.
Yeah, so it's been a while since I've read it, but all of the concepts at play that were discussed in that book are still relevant. That a lot of Nintendo's design and just core philosophies aren't technology driven, but just person driven. So the book is called Nintendo Magic. I can't remember the author. I don't even know if the book's in print anymore, but if you can get your hands on it, it was a great read, and it's only like 200 pages. Yeah, 3DS. Good times. Rest well, sweet prince.
So like Joel, going back to what you were saying about like obviously like Nintendo has been like the king of the handheld, and like how Sony attempted to and succeeded with the way you worded it. They went for the king and missed. I guess you could say that coming for the king is a Far Cry.
Boo! Boo! I have half a mind to just leave this recording right now. How dare you?
All right. Coming up next, we'll be going over the Twitch mid-roll ad controversy, and there's a new game from WayForward coming out that I am very excited to talk about and speculate on. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hundred rounds headed my direction. I ain't stressing. I turn that to my possession. Flip it around like it's reflection. All my adversaries waiting on my burial procession. Let them wait.
And I would just ask that when you're done with it, mail it to me in Texas. And obviously, like, no rush, because like I haven't bothered like reading it in however many years, but yeah, see, I can see what I need to do about tracking that down, because there's really only 2 places it should be, because I know I didn't get rid of it.
Certainly hope not, especially since you can pick it up new from $228.95.
Well, that's not right. Like the price tag I saw on Amazon was like 40.
Oh, well, that's the used price.
Like how? What's
Yeah,
the difference
exactly.
between a new and a used book, though?
That's what I would love to know. I'm actually opening that up now.
It's
Probably like shrink wrapped or something so that they can jack up the price. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Forget that.
Moving on the dockets. So Mario, this is something that you and I were pretty upset about, and I think I speak for both of us when I say that we're glad this got reverted as quickly as it did.
This isn't all three. I was the one that brought it to Mario's attention.
That is true. Joel literally is the reason I found out about this.
All right, fair enough. But basically, Twitch.tv announced that they were going to be testing automatic mid-roll ads for certain users. And this very obviously caused a lot of outcry through the community because they just recently rolled out the program for affiliates to earn ad revenue. So like when that happened, I now have the option to run ads like manually on my channel. So like if I go to my BRB screen, if I'm going to be gone for a while, I can run like a 2-minute ad break while I'm AFK. Like no big deal. What Twitch was wanting to do was if the streamer didn't manually roll those ads, Twitch was just going to do it for them. There was going to be no notification that the ad roll was happening. There was going to be no heads up warning that the ad roll was about to happen. They just did. The biggest problem, well, there's two big problems with this. The first of which being it ruins the experience for the viewer, because there could be something incredibly intense, incredibly awesome happening on screen, and then it gets interrupted by a mid-roll ad, and by the time the ad is done, the action's already over. You missed the best part. But the other problem is that this is taking away the control of the streamer over their own content. Because like I said just a second ago, I will roll mid-roll ads if I'm going to be AFK for like more than a couple minutes. And being able to have that control of when those happen is so nice, because there'll be some streams where I don't roll ads at all, because it'll be like a short, like 2.5, 3 hour stream that I can just power through in one sitting. Others might be a little bit longer. Maybe need to step away for a few minutes. But having that happen automatically, no warning, no notification.
And also just, it's not even no notification, it's utter blindness on the streamer's part, that the streamer is not aware of when this is happening, because it isn't something that would happen for all users. It would just be some percentage. They weren't really transparent about it. But for instance, the first time I got hit by one of these ads was when I was watching a stream. I had asked the streamer a question. They started answering my question, and in the middle of their answer, I suddenly get an ad. And it does picture-in-picture, so I can see the streamer still talking, but I can't hear anything because now the main screen is taken up by this ad. And 30 seconds later, when I finally get back into the stream, the streamer is talking about something else. So I just missed the answer entirely. And that's tip of the iceberg. And of course, the streamer didn't know that I was seeing an ad, so you can see the layering frustrations in this system.
Oh, very much so. According to GameSpot, this was an article posted earlier this morning, Twitch has removed now the automatic mid-roll ads for now.
Yeah, it took them about 3 days from implementation to realizing, ooh, we made a mistake, because they have their own internal feedback board, and the post calling for the removal on this feature, quote unquote, had over 6,000 upvotes. And keep in mind, most of the time, if you're gonna frequent this feedback board, the most that any topic gets is maybe a couple hundred, maybe 1,000. So for something to get 6,000 plus votes in under 3 days, this was very much a deluge of very strong feedback that they were getting.
Very much so. I know I didn't participate in that aspect, but I basically took to Twitter and quote retweeted the announcement that they were going to be testing this, and I straight up told them, "You guys are turning into YouTube. You're a subsidiary."
YouTube doesn't do this. YouTube doesn't do it. They do mid-roll ads,
correct.
but that's for recorded content.
Well,
They
well,
do not do mid-roll ads for live content.
Well, here's the thing. They're turning into YouTube in the aspect of, I'm just creating more work for myself here, but screw it. You are a subsidiary of f***ing Amazon. You do not need the extra revenue. Let us control our own ads.
Yeah, that is the whole thing. I know we've launched into for different elements of Twitch. Oh boy. So the TLDR from my side of this is, first off, I normally never participate in any sort of forum-based activities just on principle. This was the one time where not only did I do that, I did it with the Digital Era Entertainment Twitch account, just to kind of say, hey, my entire crew is really pissed about this because this is really dumb, because we have not one, but now two audio-heavy pieces of live-streamed content that, I'm sorry, 3 if we're counting the radio dramas now. So the 2 podcasts, radio dramas, which is once a month, which goes well beyond the usual limitations that were mentioned for where these ads would deploy. And you're trying to tell us that you're going to do picture-in-picture on this and nerf the audio as a result of it, but oh, it's okay, we can still see the video.
The ASMR community on Twitch was dead.
Yeah.
There was a, it's not a huge community, but ASMR literally, fundamentally cannot exist with that system.
Yeah. It's just one of those very short-sighted decisions that I don't know how the hell that got past a certain level of approval, because yes, I could see where on surface level it kind of works. One analogy that I know I certainly brought up, not just pre-show, but in other chat discussions, would be pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is used to doing that. Here's the thing. There is still it is mostly a visual component. They neglected the audio component. And in this particular instance, because there is so much audio-only content being featured on their platform, it is just such an oversight. Oh my god, like it was so frustrating to watch that whole thing play out, and I was glad that it got so quickly rolled back, because it was just an absolute disaster.
Yeah, the radio drama that we did yesterday was hosted on YouTube, because I went to Mario and I said, if Twitch has these for our audio radio drama performance, that's like going to Broadway and in the middle of a show-stopping number, suddenly just the audio cuts out from the stage and you hear an ad for whoever, whatever, and the show is still going, and you just missed a really important verse. And I said, we can't have that. We simply cannot have that for our production, so we moved it and had it live on YouTube, which was unfortunate, because I think that Twitch is just a better platform for our audience for what we're going for. But I was like, no, it's just a deal breaker. Yeah, so I'm glad that they rolled it back, but it was quite frustrating.
Yeah, for live streaming in general, I tend to prefer Twitch. Like, this is a whole other discussion that I could launch into, but the short version is I do like using Twitch for live streaming. I prefer YouTube for, pre-recorded narrative content, etc. So there are certain benefits to each platform. In this case, I prefer to live stream on Twitch. So to know that this was a possibility, and I'm glad, again, that they rolled it back as quickly as they did, but had they committed to it, that would have been a substantial problem moving forward.
You used wrestling as an example of mid-roll ads being poorly timed. There is a particular wrestling promotion that was actually going to be directly affected by that, and that's Impact Wrestling, because they broadcast primarily to Twitch.tv.
Yeah, and a lot of independent promotions as well. I didn't even think of that when we were, making those analogies as well, because a lot of independent promotions and a major one like Impact do broadcast on Twitch. So yeah, the example that I gave to use well, actually, Joel, if you'd be so kind, because you have the best overall analogy of what this was like besides the Broadway one. Give us your sports analogy, and then I'll follow up with the wrestling version.
You're watching the Cowboys game, which I know was a thriller today. I didn't watch it, but teams lining up for the game-winning field goal and ad.
Yeah, pro wrestling version. All right, so this is the marquee match. This is the one that's putting the butts in seats. This is what everybody is here to see. We are coming up on the big finish of the match, and then suddenly an ad. But the key thing that is going to be talked about for the next 3 or 4 months worth of programming was an audio thing that you couldn't hear, because when it went picture in picture, they cut the audio because they want you to know about Raid Shadow Legends.
Imagine,
Hey guys, do you like Raid Shadow Legends?
If
you download Raid Shadow Legends right now, you see where this is going, y'all.
Yeah. No, I just thought of something. Imagine if an ad, again, like picture in picture, you can still see what's going on, but your audio cuts out. Imagine if that happened during the Austin 316 promo.
Oh my god. Austin 316 says, "Do you like Raid Shadow Legends?" Oh, that would never. Oh my god, that would be a shirt.
Oh my god, yes.
So yeah, TLDR, Twitch messed up. Twitch walked it back.
They made a big oopsie.
Don't do it again, Twitch.
Yeah,
Please.
for real, please.
I totally respect that ads are a vital part of their model.
Absolutely.
And yes, that
That's
even
how
though
they
they're a
keep it free for us to
subsidiary
use.
of Amazon, I understand how business works, that it's not the same coffers. I absolutely want to support not only the platform, but the streamers. Run pre-roll, run mid-roll, run all the mid-roll you want. If it's known to the streamer,
Yes.
that's really where it comes in. I'm not even worried about the viewer at this point, because the thing is, if the streamer's okay with it, I'm okay with it, because the streamer knows what is and isn't, vital to their content. Where for, just like you were saying, Tay, of you run them at the times where it's not going to be, obtrusive anyways. So I don't care what type of control they give to the viewer. It's all about just let the streamer, let the content creator have that agency, because this is live content. It's very different if it's recorded, but fundamentally, I can't imagine anything ever working for this if there's no control over it when you're trying to do live content.
If you're going to roll automatic mid-rolls, at least give me, the streamer, minimum 30-second warning that it's about to happen, so I can relay it to my viewers.
Oh, no,
and so I know
give me a 5-minute warning so I can, wind down whatever I'm doing and at least, prepare myself, or just, ideally, don't take away the agency at all.
Exactly.
And let me run it.
Yeah, like best case scenario, let the streamer control their own damn ad rolls. Yeah.
I mean, they already somewhat give you that control, but to basically do that, it's like, big parent Twitch being like, all right, you get to get the keys to the car. I'm still gonna lock this car.
Yeah, or at the very least, make it regularly, so that if you tell me, okay, if I don't run 2 minutes of ads, that every hour on the hour of, when I reach 60 minutes of stream time, that ads will run, that I can schedule into my stream, knowing, okay, this is the exact time when it's going to happen. I don't have a choice, but that it is consistent in when and how it happens, that then I can at least modify and plan around that and make it so it's not obtrusive, and know, okay, we're going to have an intermission for the radio drama every 50 minutes and run our own 2-minute ads. That way we know that it'll never happen in the middle of the performance, or that for you as a streamer, okay, I'm not going to start a new match just yet because I see that I'm about to hit 60 minutes on my stream time, so let's wait and chat for a little bit, let the ads roll, and then get back in the game.
The official message from Twitch posted to the Twitch support Twitter account in response to another Twitter user. Quote, "We've concluded the test, so viewers will no longer see mid-rolls. We've gone through a lot of the feedback provided on the original tweet, user voice, etc., and will take this into account before we execute on any future ad changes," end quote. So the test is concluded. As we've already stated,
we've had enough of you yelling in our ears.
Pretty much, like as we've already stated, the feedback and the backlash to this was overwhelming.
And
so
sympathies to any community managers or social media managers. We know it's not your fault. Thank you for passing along the feedback. I'm sure that you're just as happy as we are that 72 hours is gone and behind us.
Oh my god, I just... that was just a headache I did not want to...
But
especially...
at least it's rolled back, so now we get to move on to happier things.
I know.
Hooray!
It's just like the timing of this too. Like, I'm just now coming off of a massive Twitch hiatus. I'm finally getting back into regular content creation on Twitch, live streaming. I'm finally getting back into the groove, and then you drop this on me?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
And for me personally, like, I've always been more of a YouTuber than anything else. So, like, adjusting to Twitch the last almost 3 years has already been, quite a chore for me, to put it politely. Especially the last 6 months with the increase in content that we've had to kind of focus on, because the main YouTube initiatives were going to require a lot of in-person contact. So, that's not happening anytime soon. It's like, cool. We finally have this down to a science. We've got a good rotation. We've got some good content. All right, we've got this under control. Hi, I'm Twitch. Even though I am a subsidiary of the big old Amazon, I still need money, and I'm gonna run some ads on your stuff and kind of totally mess up all the stuff that is really bringing in the viewers to your channel. Excuse me, Twitch? Excuse me? What? that's what it kind of felt like to me personally. It was just like, you got to be kidding me, bro. Like, what?
I ditched YouTube to become a Twitch exclusive creator, and like the podcast is a little bit different. Like, the podcast will go up to YouTube just for ease of access of the viewer, but like all my other content I am keeping exclusive to Twitch. I ditched YouTube just because of the way that they were screwing over their creators. Came over to Twitch because in my mind and in my experience, much more user-friendly, gave the creators a lot more control over their channels and their content, and then this happens. So I'm like, and Mixer, rest in peace, is no longer a thing.
Chat for Mixer.
So,
oh, I'm sorry, you mean Facebook gaming?
Oof.
Yep.
It's like, wait, where am I supposed to go now? I got nowhere to go.
Exactly. That was the other problem. Like, I even said, I don't know if it was in the general D chat or if it was just in one of the other chats. I was like, man, if we had the money to do this, like, I would just slap up a Vimeo thing on the Digital Era site and just run this stuff from there, because at least there I'd have control, because that's basically what Virtual Crunchyroll Expo did. And to be fair, Vimeo is a fantastic video platform for like, especially pre-recorded video content.
Yeah, but what Twitch has in terms of just the bots that are workable in its chat, which
the
do not
turnkey
operate in anything else.
Yeah,
and
the
just,
turnkey operation
there's so
certainly
much
makes
functionality
it.
there.
Yes, and again, that's why I say for live broadcast, it's such a fantastic platform, honestly. So yeah, everything has its pros and cons. Yay!
Yeah.
Look at the positive side of life.
But all's well that ends well. Learn from it, Twitch. Thank you. And now on to like something that we're actually happy about and looking forward to.
Oh, I am both excited and very nervous for this, because
I'm intrigued because, well, I'll get to it, but I'll let you lead this one off, Tay.
So all three of us in this call today, we're all familiar with Rooster Teeth. I would assume. Um, and we're all familiar, even though one of us has not played any of their games, Joel, familiar with Way Forward. You're on
Hey,
my.
at least I'm caught up on Ruby, Mario.
He definitely has me on that one.
And I'm over here, and I still haven't finished Half Genie Hero, so I guess I'm.
See,
I'm in
we
no
all-
position to talk.
We all have
have our
one.
faults.
We all have one.
I'm in no position to talk crap. The point I'm getting at here is that Rooster Teeth is partnering with WayForward and Arc System Works. This was announced earlier as part of the RTX at Home virtual event. That they will be teaming together for a brand new Ruby video game. For those watching that may not be aware, Ruby is a original animated series produced by Rooster Teeth Studios in Austin, Texas. It is the first Western-style animated show to be distributed in Japan. It is currently we're currently coming up on its 8th season, or volume as they're being called, set to drop here, I think, next month. Or no, in November.
No,
we're
it's,
getting Red versus Blue Zero next month. That's right. But WayForward is partnering with Rooster Teeth to create an all-new Ruby video game. I've got it pulled up on WayForward's website
Now,
here.
the thing I don't quite understand is WayForward and Arc Systems are both developers in their own right. Arc Systems has had interactions with Ruby as a brand before because of Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, which
Right.
has 5 Ruby characters in it. So this is not their first interaction with the brand. But what I'm a bit confused on is, how is it that we have a game that has 2 very different developers? Like, am I misunderstanding the capacity or like the work that each of these studios do? Because they both, correct me if I'm wrong, they both develop and release their own games. It's not like one of these is a programming house and the other is an art house. We have 2 developers on one game.
That apparently seems to be the case. We still have, because keep in mind, this was just announced, I think, earlier this week as part of the RTX at Home event. So the information that we have right now is still very limited.
Yeah, because
we know
that's the real thing that turned my head of how does that work? And we, at least to my knowledge, do not have a concrete answer. But that's going to be the thing over the coming months and year or so. That I'm going to be most interested to see how that actually works from a developmental standpoint.
So I'm actually going to posit a theory here, because if my understanding is correct, again, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about any of this. I think in this case, in terms of publishing duty, there is a very high chance it would be Arc System Works.
Oh, this is
doing the
developer
publishing.
publisher.
And then WayForward would be doing the development, because a great example is what's happened with the Double Dragon franchise. Arc System Works is basically the publisher for all that, and I think the Kunio-kun series, which by proxy means the River City series. So that IP is all under Arc System Works. But
Okay, that I
WayForward
didn't
has been
know,
doing
and
the
that's probably the
development.
answer. Thank you, Mario. Because
Yeah.
I didn't realize that Arc System had begun dabbling in publishing externally developed games. That I assumed that Rooster Teeth would be the publisher of record, but
Yeah, or it could just be
now that you explained
simple
that,
IP
this all
sharing.
falls into place.
Yeah.
Okay, so WayForward is the developer, Arc Systems is the publisher, and Rooster Teeth is technically neither. That they are just the partner and creative oversight.
That would be my guess, yeah. Or maybe they might be handling some of the publishing duties
Oh wait,
themselves.
no, yes, I'm it. Sorry, so I found a article on CBR.com
Oh, okay,
that actually
fantastic.
says the new Ruby game, which currently lacks an official title, is slated to arrive, quote, on multiple platforms sometime in 2021. It is being developed by WayForward, which is known for games such as Shantae and Seven Sirens and River City Girls. Publishing duties will be split
Okay,
between WayForward and Arc System Works,
thought
known
so.
for Guilty Gear Strive and Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, with creative oversight being provided by Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, so there you go. That, because I remember Rooster Teeth has, if I'm not mistaken, already published a few pieces themselves, so it would make sense that those two probably would be sharing the publication duties in some capacity with Way Forward doing, the actual grunt work. Oh god, I hope this is a beat 'em up. River City
I
Girls
really
was so good. It was so
Mario, I know you're
good.
not caught up on Ruby, but I know you've seen Ruby. If it's not a beat 'em up,
They're doing it
something's
wrong.
gone wrong. Something's gone terribly wrong.
Yeah.
If it's not a beat 'em up and it was Arc System Works doing the development, it would probably be a really badass looking fighter.
Okay, I suppose I still consider Fighter to be a beat 'em up in a sense.
Yeah. So, I'm just saying, like, that's how I would have viewed it depending on who was handling the primary development duties. Because, again, Arc System Works, their bread and butter is
It
a lot
is-
of the fighting stuff,
yeah.
2D specifically. But with Way Forward, they tend to be more platforming and beat 'em up. So I'm like, oh God, please give me this, shoot it into my veins.
Also, is this where I bring up the elephant in the room as to why Rooster Teeth isn't handling the publishing side of this?
Well, you just introduced the elephant, so yes.
Like Rooster Teeth being like Rooster Teeth, they have put out their own games in the past. Ruby Grimmy Clips being one of the more well-known and mainstream of those, which I still have and still play from time to time. The department of Rooster Teeth that used to be Rooster Teeth Games was basically shut down in its entirety, and the staff...
Not basically, it was shut down.
Yeah.
Rooster Teeth Games was shuttered.
Like, it was shut down and the staff laid off after what was basically the disastrous release of Vicious Circle, a original IP game released by Rooster Teeth, described as an uncooperative multiplayer game, basically working together but also working against each other, kind of deal. Like I'll send you a link to some videos.
Perfect.
After we're
just
recording,
about to look
Mario.
this up because I'm like, why do I not remember this?
You don't remember this because its release was so quiet and so just uneventful. The game flopped. The branch of the company shut down. I think it was about a month and a half after the game's release.
The first I ever heard of Vicious Circle was the playable demo at RTX. I want to say it was last year. RTX of last year. They had a playable demo available, and
oh god,
like,
yeah, this is from a year ago. Sorry, I
seeing
found
it,
some information. I'm like, oh no.
like seeing it,
Oh, no.
I'm like I saw it, and this is the first I've heard of it. So I go in, I get in line for the demo, and I play. It's like, hey, this is actually a pretty fun game. Why have I not heard more about this? The reason being, there was little to no marketing for the game leading up to its release. It released a couple months later. I was lucky enough to be able to participate in the open beta, or no, sorry, in the closed beta for it. It was a closed beta, and I was put in a fortunate position of privilege to participate in that beta. I won't go into the details as to why, but I got to participate in it, and we were permitted to live stream it. So like a lot of us during the beta, we were live streaming to Twitch, and a lot of the RT staff and developers were popping into various chats, like checking up on everything, making sure everything was okay. I know Jackie and Chelsea stopped by into my chat for a little bit, and I think it was Sean Cunningham, one of the animators for Achievement Hunter, even stopped in my chat that night, which was really cool to hear from him. But then, yeah, the game released. People played it for a while, and then it died. People just
it looks like
stopped
there was
playing
not
it.
a long shelf life for this from what I
The
pulled
game
up.
was released on July 25th, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Layoffs happened on September 12th.
Oh, that's brutal. That's brutal.
So,
Yeah.
like,
It was Rooster Teeth's done a lot of good things over the years, and this was not one of them.
This
But their IP is good, and they've found good partners, so I'm excited for this game.
Yes, big yes.
very much
I
so.
point to River City Girls. It is awesome, and for anyone listening who has not gotten a chance to experience this glorious, beautiful game, please go play this glorious, beautiful game. It also has an absolute all-star cast. Oh my god, it is so good from top to bottom. And until the recently announced return of Scott Pilgrim the game, this was basically like the next best thing. So yeah, it is so good, and I'm so happy that this team is going to be working on something Ruby related. Oh god, please let it be a side-scrolling beat 'em up, please.
I just checked Steam. River City Girls is currently 30% off right now for $21.
That is correct. And luckily it does go on sale pretty frequently on most digital storefronts. So if you're like me and you like to consolidate the clutter and pick up games on a discount, this is one that goes on sale frequently enough that you definitely have a good window, and it is worth every penny.
Okay. I thought I recognized this game. I've seen Ray Brownman play this on his stream before. I knew I recognized it from somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, no, it is goodly good, and again, continuing the Kunio-kun Double Dragon universe. Yeah, it's like they have the Game Grumps as the Double Dragons. It is so good.
Oh, that's awesome.
So good. Yeah.
Okay, I'm definitely getting that game. Actually, probably tomorrow because I get paid tomorrow. I'll probably go ahead and get it.
Yeah, I will say though, fair warning, if you do end up with the Nintendo Switch edition, do yourself a favor and do not play it with the Joy-Cons. There's one particular section that has legitimate platforming. It is an exercise in frustration if you try to do it with a Joy-Con. So definitely
do you speak from experience.
Yeah, actually with RJ, he brought it over for a planning session of one of our projects. And we just played some River City Girls, and we got to that section. We were just playing with Joy-Con, and I'm like, this is infuriating. So I went and grabbed my 8-bit-do controller, and then we were finally able to clear the damn stage. So yeah, it's just one of those things. So any other platform, you're good. Just don't play with a Joy-Con. Do yourself a favor.
Oh yeah, no, I'm getting it on Steam.
Okay. Cool.
But so yeah, because like the Joy-Con drift problem is it's still a pretty major thing right now, right?
Not to my knowledge. I know that I
still
believe they
have
pushed out some
the
firmware
repair
updates.
thing. Yeah, that just I believe it's fixed on new Joy-Cons. But obviously, if people have older ones, I know one of mine has started experiencing it. I haven't bothered to send it in yet, but they do have this just open call that you can send it in. They'll fix/replace it. So it's been addressed in every possible way. But if you do have these older Joy-Cons that haven't been sent in, then it is still something that can pop up every now and again. But it does not seem to be quite the widespread issue that it was a little while ago.
That's good. Glad to hear that.
Geez, we talked for a lot longer than I think we planned to, but it was fun.
Oh yeah, this
Indeed.
is because I already knew with the topic. I knew this ahead of time with the people that I was going to have on, and the topics that we had lined up. I knew that we were going to talk for a while, just because there was going to be a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I should have warned you, Taylor, that get Mario and I in a room, and you to just we can talk because this is what we do already once a week on our anime podcast, Dekai, and that's basically how the idea for that whole show came up. Of just we knew that if we sat down and started talking, we could fill a time slot, no problem.
Yep.
If anything, our biggest problem has always been reining in our runtime.
Yep.
So sorry, not sorry.
Hey, no, I'm completely fine with it. I had nothing better to do tonight. So that is going to go ahead and, on that note, we are going to go ahead and wrap for episode 2 of the LAN Party. Thank you to Joel and Mario for joining me tonight. Mario, is there anything that you would like to plug before we go offline?
Oh, absolutely. I've been mentioning it, basically across the various topics, digitally or entertainment. We have multiple outlets to enjoy our content. Our main hub is digitaleraentertainment.com. You can find all of our social media and video platform information through there, as well as written content by not just myself, but the rest of the wonderful team that we have there. And yeah, if you want to follow me across social media, my handle is usually EMP_maniac or EMP Maniac without the underscore, or you can just go to my main website, mariobueno.com, and find all of that on the main page. So, yep, plenty of ways to find my content and yeah, that's what I got going on. And of course, I share some of that with Joel over at Digital Era Entertainment. So I think I speak for both of us when I say we hope that you'll come on by and join us, not just for our wonderful podcast content, which is Thursdays and Fridays, but Joel co-streams with one of our other teammates, RJ, who I was just mentioning with the River City Girls story there. And of course, on Friday, we podcast together for Dekai, our anime discussion podcast. And of course, Joel being the project director of Radio Dramas, which is what brought the three of us together. That's one of our monthly things that I'm very proud to have featured over at Digital Era Entertainment. So hope you'll come on by and join us after listening to this wonderful podcast.
Yep. Yeah, all my stuff is essentially just that. That the radio dramas are once a month. Our show date for our next production, which is going to be The Princess Bride, and the other main ones are Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, that I do the streams with RJ, that we just wrapped up doing a visual novel where the two of us just sort of voice acted through it, and that was a lot of fun. So we're probably going to be doing another one of those starting this week. And then at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern on Fridays is, as Mario mentioned, the Dekai podcast, where if you want to hear Mario and I bantering more, but about anime instead of video games, that's where you can find us. And that's a live broadcast that then gets uploaded on pretty much every podcast platform imaginable, and as of this week, Amazon as well.
That's right. I was just about to say,
nice.
we just joined Amazon Music as a podcast, so you can find us on that platform as well. So it's a brand new thing. I literally got the notification about it like 10 minutes before we went live this past week.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
It was like perfect
all
timing.
the other usual suspects, Spotify, iTunes, you name it, that it's very easily accessible. Just DEEKAI.
Alrighty. Gentlemen, thank you again for joining me this fine day, and thank you everyone for listening. And we will see you for the next episode of the LAN Party Podcast, whenever we get around to recording it. This has really no set schedule, just kind of happens whenever. So thank you for watching/listening and listening. Oh my god.
It's been a long day.
Roll the damn credits! This episode of the LAN Party Podcast was recorded on September 20th, 2020, and first aired to Twitch on September 22nd, 2020. This season's intro song is New Game by Nitro Fun, and our outro song is Monody by the Fat Rat featuring Laura Brem. This episode of the LAN Party Podcast was not sponsored by any brand, company, or corporation named within.